What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and today we are gonna be learning the try-hard way of sidechaining, not to be confused with Julian Gray. Congrats on getting signed a mousetrap, dog. Now, my question for you guys in today's video is gonna be if this is a better way of sidechaining since it's more complex. And as we know, there's a lot of producers out there who think they're better than you because they do things more complex, and a lot of times it's real fucking bullshit. Now, the standard sidechain, guys, is pretty simple, and most of the time we're using it to allow the kick to punch through the mix, so everything moves out the fucking way when the kick comes in. It's like that badass guy, and then everyone just moves to the side as he walks in. Swap, that's the motherfucking kick. So that's usually what happens with pretty much our standard sidechain. The volume of the sound gets reduced, that's all that happens. But as you guys know, sound is gonna have the low frequencies, the mids, and the high frequencies. So when you do the standard sidechain, the volume shape or the LFO shape, or just the standard compression sidechain, the sound gets reduced equally. So you lose volume equally throughout the whole band. But what if there was a try-hard method where we pretty much could make the lows go lower, the mids go a little lower, and then the highs go low but not as low, so they're kind of each gonna have a specific sidechain? Well, that is the try-hard method of sidechaining, and it's very, very useful. I think it's called Multiband Frequency Ducking. I think that's what it's called, I'm not sure. And that is a try-hard way of sidechaining, but it makes sidechaining a lot more useful if you think about it, because let's say you have a vocal and it's taking up the mids here, and let's say you have a lead that's taking up the mids and the highs. What I can do is have this vocal sidechain the lead whenever it sings, so that way the lead still plays, but the only part of the lead getting sidechained is the mids. That way you still have the highs and you don't lose power on the leads. That's one of the things that we can do to, you know, make room for stuff in the mix, and this is going to be a cool way of trying it. But let's get straight into it, guys. Let's stop talking and let's start applying what I'm going to show you guys, which is the try-hard way of sidechaining. Alright, guys, and welcome inside of Ableton, where we're going to be doing this try-hard method of sidechaining. Now, please keep in mind you can do this in any digital audio workstation. I don't know if it's going to be easier to do, more complex. Like FL, I know it's going to be a bitch for you guys to do this, because you're going to have to duplicate channels to do it, while in Ableton we can do it so smoothly. Does that mean FL is better because it's more complex? I don't fucking know. The motherfucking fruit's right there. But anyways, let's get straight into this, guys. So right now, here we have the sound, and I'm going to show you the sound without any sidechain. If you like these sounds, check out the Desolation sound set over at evilsounds.com, guys, if you're into this kind of music. Anyways, once we apply the standard sidechain, which everyone tends to do, which is this LFO to a sidechain, you can see that we lose a lot of the initial hit of the sounds, like okay, and a lot of times that's what's gonna prevent your track from sounding as good as the pros, as what I mean by that is the power is kind of lost. I mean, it does sound well balanced, it does have a good vibe, but you lose a lot of those transients. Now, the try-hard method of sidechaining is gonna prevent that. It's actually gonna make it so that you can hear the transients while not doing this weird thing here in our LFO tool where you let the lows also stay up. We're gonna let the lows go fucking ham on the sidechain, but the highs are not gonna get sidechained as much, so that we can preserve those clicks, as I was saying. So what we need to do, guys, is use an EQ3 here, an audio effect rack with EQ3. Go to list mode and put another one in. Call it high, call it low. And pretty much what we're doing is we're just making two new channels where the sound is getting split up from the high to the low. One channel, you're going to cut the lows. The other channel, you're going to cut the highs. It's that simple. Okay, on the highs, get rid of the lows here. Just lower the volume. Boom. There we go. On the lows, get rid of the mids and the highs. You can take it up to 3 EQ3s where you have high, mids, and lows, guys. But just keep in mind, sometimes it's a bit overkill unless you're going to be doing some multi-band frequency ducking for like a snare or for a vocal. If you're going to be using a vocal to sidechain your leads, let's say you want the vocal to punch through, that's going to be where you would want to have 3 of those bands. But please keep in mind, what we're doing here is just separating it, making it multi-band. So that means you could do multi-band reverb the highs, not the lows, multi-band delay, multi-band compression, multi-band limiting, multi-band mastering. Okay, you get the idea there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just put a compressor, and I'm going to do this with LFO tool and a compressor as well. Please keep that in mind. From here, it's just your method of sidechaining. Now, the key thing that we want when we do this as well is that we want the sound not to gain or lose any volume. So what I mean by that is hear it, turn it on and off, and if you hear the sound change a bit, you didn't set it up properly. So you can see I'm turning it on and off, and it works pretty good there. Okay, so from here, we're just going to turn these compressors on, and we're just going to sidechain. So the lows kick and the highs to the kick as well. Now what this is doing, it's giving us a bit more freedom, because remember, we want to kind of sidechain the lows heavily, because obviously the kick from this cashmere kick, we don't want it to the base of it, we don't want it to conflict with ours. That's the biggest thing here. So here, what I'm going to do is set this frequency low to around 150, which is everything below 150 is going to be the low. And on the highs, I'm also going to set it like that so we don't lose any mids. And there we go. Once we have that set up, I'm also going to take this opportunity to make my lows be fully mono. So that's going to really help here. Just mono the shit out of it. Okay, there we go. And from there, we're just going to side. Now, if we go into our highs are still going to maintain stereo-ness because we're doing this only to the lows. And then from here, we're just going to sidechain. Okay, now when we hear with the mix, now over here with the LFO tool, now with the new the try-hard. So you can see what it does. We preserve the transients. We're still ducking the low end, which is what usually fights a lot with the kick. We're still sidechaining the highs a bit so the click of the kick comes through, but we're not doing it to that extreme. With the LFO tool, everything's getting sidechained equally. With the try-hard method of sidechaining, everything is getting sidechained differently, okay? So you can see how that would work. And please keep in mind, this is fucking awesome, because sometimes, you know, we have stuff that we just need to sidechain the lows or the highs or the mids, and this is the way to do it. Now, like I said, guys, you can also have a 3-band one, and all you have to do is turn off the mids here, the highs on the mid, so it's just the mid by itself. On the highs, you have the highs by itself and the lows there. So now we sidechain this heavily. And then you have a little bit more control over all of them. So again, you can do a lot with this. This is just doing multi-band inside of Ableton, creating multi-band for yourself on whatever you want to do. But this is a good way to do multi-band frequency ducking, which is a question a long time ago someone asked if we could do in Ableton, and of course we can. Now the cool thing about this too, guys, is let's say you have like a clap or like or something that happens throughout. You can also add a sidechain to that. Let's say you want the clap to kind of come through more, and you can only add it to the mids because obviously the clap is going to be hitting in the mids. So that's where a clap hit, and then when you hear the You know, it might be a bit too overkill because now you're like being a perfectionist like that, but you get the idea here, the power of the try-hard way of sidechaining, guys. Does that mean this is a better method? It's up to you to decide that. Are you willing to put in the work to do it or not? It is the question. However, it's another option that you have for sidechaining a bit more precisely rather than the whole thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with sidechaining the whole thing. Obviously, I think I'm going to do that route more. But this will come in handy, especially when I find like sometimes, you know, the vocal coming in or something, I can use this method to make the sidechain just a bit better on certain things. Anyways, guys, you guys take care, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video.